25 fight of the year, beating Herol in the same Wembley arena almost exactly a year ago. Kaylor the fighter against Graham the boxer, providing our fireworks tonight. And the most powerful in British boxing, not only names like Simpson and Christie, but also Mark Kaylor and the European champion Herol Graham. Well, the most eagerly awaited fight in domestic boxing was the showdown that would produce one man to challenge for the world title. And that's what we had at Wembley last night, as Graham put his European title on the line against Kaylor. It was one of Wembley's big nights, a real big fight atmosphere. The parade of stars before the main attraction included Chris Pyatt, the European light middleweight champion, getting presented with his Lonsdale belt. Big reception also for Wembley's favourite, Frank Bruno. But that was matched by the reception for our newest world champion, Lloyd Honeyghan, the new world welterweight champion. But there was no doubting the bulk of the Wembley support at the Barrett Duff promotion was behind the Londoner Mark Kaylor, no stranger to a highly charged atmosphere like last night's. It was a newer experience, though, for the defending champion Graham. In his 36 unbeaten fights, he would never have seen a night as important as this.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen, this match was made at 11 stone 6 pounds, and at the weigh today, Graham scaled 11 stone 4 pounds 15 ounces, Kaylor 11 stone 5 pounds 11 ounces.
Barney Eastwood in Graham's corner, Lawless managing Kaylor, everything on the line, and ringside, Harry Carpenter.
Second count, round 1.
So much more than a European title at stake here tonight. It's a world title eliminator, and the crowd knows it, and the fighters know it. A big crowd here at Wembley, atmosphere tense. And who's going to make the better start? And we remember that in his last fight, Mark Kaylor, the challenger here, was on the seat of his pants in the first round against an American. Well, he came back to win that one, but if he lets that happen to him against Graham, he might never get back yet. The long arms of Herol Graham, the champion, strike into the face of Kaylor from West Ham, the Sheffield champion, looking aggressive and confident at the start. Here's a man who is probably the best defensive boxer in the country, but starting this fight with real aggression, and he's got Kaylor in trouble on the ropes, and we're only 55 seconds into the fight. Well, Kaylor's a dangerous man when he's hurt, and Graham clearly feels he can get this over quickly. He's taken the initiative right away from Mark in the opening seconds. Kaylor's face red, hurt again. So the needle fight that promised so much. Sizable contingent has come down from Sheffield for Graham, but the main cheers here tonight are for Kaylor. If this goes the full 12 rounds like this, we are in for a treat. Graham's round, no doubt about that. That was a brisk, confident and very aggressive start by Herol Graham, who has this astonishing record, a pro for 8 years now, won every pro fight he's ever had. You've got to go back to July 1978 when he was an amateur to find the last man to beat him, an East German amateur called Marx, and that happened in East Germany. 1978, the year he won the EBU Middleweight Title.
Second count, round 2.
Kaylor, very red around the nose and the eyes. He's had 3 defeats in his professional life, Mark Kaylor, and strangely enough, they've all been in this arena at Wembley. Kaylor, a pro for 6 years, the former holder of the British and Commonwealth middleweight titles. He's never won the European crown. He tried for it against Tony Simpson and came off second best. One of the most elusive fighters in the world, Herol Graham. Brilliantly defensive. A southpaw, of course, unorthodox. And Mark has only ever met one southpaw in his life before. This is going to be a tough and perhaps rough fight between these two. Kaylor shooting punches in with venom. Much more the sort of round you expect Herol Graham to have. Hurt with the left hand, he didn't dodge out of the way at a bit in time. This has been a good round for Mark. One lower from Kaylor. And John Coyle was quick to come in there and warn him. And although Graham finished the round with one or two good counter punches, you have to say that Kaylor took that away from him on sheer scheming aggression. A pro for 6 years, Mark Kaylor, now ranked in the top 4 in the world, along with Graham, and only 3 defeats, apart from Tony Simpson, the other 2 men to beat him. Tony Serra of the United States, where Mark was disqualified for hitting after the bell, and Buster Drayton, who handed him his worst ever defeat, stopped him in 7 rounds. And all those 3 defeats, as I said, have been at Wembley Arena.
Second round, round 3.
So let's say it's all square and we start again. This now is much more typical Herol Graham stuff. On the retreat, poking out the counter punches with the southpaw lead. And this is what one more expects to see from him than the all-out aggression he showed in the opening round. Graham, much the slimmer man of the two, but also the shorter man by some 2 inches. When Graham gets his punches through, they get through with some accuracy, and he's no mean puncher. He's not just a defensive boxer. When he turns on the power, he can stop men, as he has done. He's stopped 13 out of his last 14 opponents. Graham at one time was sadly underrated in London. In fact, he'd been a pro for 4.5 years, and he'd had 22 winning fights before London even offered him a fight. Well, since then he's made 7 previous appearances, and he's stopped his man every time. And Mark Kaylor is in trouble on the ropes, backed up on the ropes, and he's got eye trouble. Kaylor has got trouble with his right eye. The right eye is bleeding. Round 3. And the European champion, Herol Graham, now sees the chance of victory here. John Coyle's going to look at this eye. Oh, surely that it's not going to be stopped because of this, is it? What a tragedy if it is. It depends where the cut is, how deep it is. Coyle looking right into it as Lawless wipes the blood away. Is he going to let him go on? Yes, he is. It looks in a very nasty place indeed, right over the right eye, underneath the eyebrow. Very awkward place on the lid. Mark pours the blood away again. This is going to hamper him badly. When you've got a man like Graham in front of you, the last thing you want is blood pouring into your eye. He came into the ring with that right eye quite heavily greased. I suspect he might have had trouble sparring with that eye, because clearly the corner were concerned about it. And Lawless now goes to work. It's a nasty looking little cut. It's not a big cut, but it's in an awkward spot up on the eyelid. And Lawless not going to work with the swab stick, but trying to pinch it together and stop the bleeding. And there must be a lot of confidence in that corner at this moment.
Round 4.
Well, Kaylor is never more dangerous than when he's hurt and in trouble. He's come up off the floor to win fights before now, so a cut eye isn't going to deter him too much. But it might just be that the accurate counter-punching of Graham will prove too much for that cut. There's no more courageous fighter in this country than Kaylor. And Graham almost heaves his man off the ground. I've seen him do that before to fighters. Well, there may be still a few people around who feel that Graham is a defensive, negative fighter. But surely, watching this, you really can't say that about him. Coming through all the heat and fire and pressure that Kaylor's putting on him, and handling it superbly. Two good right hands and a left to the body from Kaylor. And Graham takes him and still pulls his man around with tremendous strength. Kaylor's been working with Alan Minter, who of course was a southpaw, the former world middleweight champion. Minter giving him a few tips on how to handle a southpaw. And Graham fights with his back to the ropes just as well as if he was out in the centre of the ring. They haven't heard the bell. And there's the first sign of bad temper between the two of them. Tremendous punch-up with Graham backed up on the ropes at the end of the round. Still giving as good as he's getting. And this crowd stamping their feet in approval. Let's look at those closing moments again, because Kaylor really was trying to nail his man here. He had him on the ropes, but Graham was fighting back just as well as though he was standing out in the clear. And the fighting and the exchange of punches was so furious here that they didn't hear the bell. And on they went for several seconds after the bell sounded.
Second round, round 5.
Well, the Kaylor corner really have done a good job on that eye of Kaylor's, because it hasn't bled again. Between these two men from Britain. The atmosphere is so much different when you get two men from this country together with something important at stake. This place is alive with excitement.
Right!
Kaylor still getting through to the head. And Graham showing tremendous resilience. No matter what Kaylor does, he comes back with something better. And he totally bemused Mark there. And again, he's getting punches through again and again. The rate of exchange at this moment, 4-5, 6-1. And this is a world-class fight. Make no mistake. Nice to see a really big crowd in the old Wembley Arena. And the co-promoters, Mike Barrett and Mickey Duff, will be delighted to see him here. Graham's face still unmarked, more than you can say for Kaylor's. Backed up to the ropes, fights off them beautifully as the bell ends the 5th round of a scheduled 12-rounder for the European Middleweight Championship. These two men being well paid tonight. Herol Graham, the champion, believed to be getting £90,000 or thereabouts, and Kaylor something like 60,000. John Coyle, I wonder what he's got on his card. Some of the rounds have been quite close. I've got Graham ahead at this point. There's a long, long way to go.
Second out, round 6.
Well, the first 5 rounds have gone by in a flash. They always do when you have a good fight. The bad ones are interminable. And still, as you can see, inside, good punches being landed. Graham getting the come forward signal from his corner. Clearly that corner feels that Kaylor might be tiring, but to my eyes he doesn't seem to be. Kaylor staying inside and doing the better work. Stood around too long and got caught coming out. Oh, good left from Graham. So once again, the resilience of the champion is proved. Got himself caught on the ropes, took some punches, but still comes back strongly. And that bell has perhaps given Mark Kaylor a much-needed respite there. He was beginning to get whacked rather hard when that bell came. So this fight swings first one way and then the other. But it seems to me that each time Graham just has that edge over Kaylor. Perhaps because he's marginally the better boxer. And there certainly was one left hand here he threw, which was a super punch, that one, which got right past the guard. And if Kaylor wasn't such a strong and gutsy fighter, that might have done him a lot of damage.
Second out, round 7.
So the first half of this European title fight is completed. And I have Graham ahead, not by much. Sure about this, but there might be some blood on Graham's face. There around the right eye. Looks a bit red. Difficult to see. There certainly was some cracking of heads. Not too sure. False alarm about Graham's eye. I can't see any blood there now, but it did look red for a time. Kaylor trying very hard to come forward. Got a good right hand in there, which Graham didn't see coming. And Graham comes inside for a bit. Punishing round, this one. Graham bleeding a little from the nose. Graham's left hand is beginning to be a key punch in this fight. Well, he's bleeding slightly from the nose, and I think a bit of that may have got transferred. No, they are tending to the right eye, so there is a slight cut there. There is indeed. Well, it wasn't easy to see, but it looked as though there was some redness around that right eye. It's not bleeding very badly. But now that means both of them are cut above the right eyes. Well, Kaylor had a hard rounder and he took some good shots, and then he came back with one good right, that one inside. And you see how Graham instantly came inside and stayed there for a bit to get a rest.
Second down, round 8.
So the marks of battle on both men now of a truly tremendous fight. Well, Mark Kaylor, over the years, pro 6 years now, he has given value for money. Never has a dull fight. You hear that thud into the head from here, and he was on the other side of the ring. You can see what would happen to Kaylor if he slowed up, because the moment he stands up, he gets caught again and again. Kaylor really does have to keep the pressure on and keep attacking if he's going to take this title. Because the moment he slows up, Graham is in there and at him. And this round is showing you how it's done. And that took a lot out of Mark as well. But still the guts of this man bring him forward. But he's picking up too many punches, Kaylor now. Round 8. The battle swinging Graham's way. Graham still light on his feet, still whacking that left hand in. That's the punch which has caught Kaylor again and again. The southpaw's left. But Kaylor's still coming back at him. And the going is getting harder and harder for the challenger. And this time Kaylor goes in and hangs on, and he's very, very tired. Graham's bleeding from the nose. Both men now tired, very tired. And we're only in the 8th. 4 to go after this. Graham beginning to look a bit weary himself, as though he's almost worn himself out, punching Kaylor. Kaylor hangs on now, looks desperately tired. And they're both glad to break it off at the end of that tremendous 8th round. And Graham came out on top of it. And it does seem to me now that the battle is surely swinging his way. Although, with Kaylor, you can never tell. John Coyle has been called over, and they've pulled Kaylor out of the fight. They've pulled Kaylor out at the end of the 8th round, and Herol Graham is the winner. Now, whether it's the damage to the eye or whether Lawless feels that he hasn't got enough left, I'm not sure yet. But Lawless has retired his man, and Herol Graham has kept his 100% record, and he's the one who will go forward to greater things in the middleweight world. And Mark Kaylor once again suffers defeat in the big one, and that'll be a sad night for Kaylor, but a triumphant one for Herol Graham. But again, a disappointing ending.
Kaylor's eye was giving him a lot of trouble, and his manager has withdrawn him, and the referee agreed at the finish of round 8. The winner and still middleweight champion of Europe is Herol Graham.
So the official decision is that Terry Lawless decided to pull Kaylor out because he was having too much trouble with the injury on the right eye. I think also he was getting desperately tired, and he was beginning to pick up a lot of punches, and the fight seemed to me to be swinging Graham's way. And I think perhaps Lawless thought, well, he's had his chance and he's had a go. Why let him suffer too much? Kaylor, I think, will be bitterly disappointed and won't like being pulled out. But nonetheless, that's it. 8 rounds of tremendous battling, leaving Herol Bomber Graham still with his 100% professional record, and now looking forward to 1987 to go to meet perhaps Thomas Hearns or even Marvin Hagler. Must have been quite relieved when they pulled him out at the end of the 8th. He hadn't got to go on.
Well, I was relieved, yeah, because he was giving me a hard fight. He was giving me such a hard fight, but I got on top of him after that.
Can we just have a look at that little cut you got? You have a little cut by the right eye there. Not serious?
No, it isn't serious. It's a slight clash of heads, but it was nothing. It weren't deliberate anyway.
Anybody who's watched you fighting over the years knows you're not a quitter. So what happened at the end of the 8th round? Did you want to pull out?
Terry Lawless pulled me out. You know, it was a one-horse race. He wanted to pull me out of the 7th round, the end of the 7th round. You know, I never wanted to come out, but I had no choice in that. He just called the referee over. Once your manager and trainer call the referee over, that's it. That's the end of the story. So you've got no arguments.
What about the future, Mark? What does that hold for you?
The future now holds a talk with Terry Lawless, the manager. I don't want to box anymore at 11 stone 6. You know, I have to draw out to make 11 stone 6, and perhaps the super middleweight will be more comfortable for me in the future.
So it's Marvin Hagler's world middleweight title. But that fight with Hagler is only a distant prospect at the moment. In Las Vegas on April the 6th, a fight that could gross him $100 million. But on December the 15th, unless there are further developments, the WBA are expected to strip Hagler of their version of his title when the time runs out for his next mandatory defence, which would leave 2 challengers to Graham for the vacant title. Either the official #2 contender, Iron Barkley, a comparatively little-known American, or Thomas Hearns, the former world welter and light middleweight champion. Shame for Graham that after a clear-cut victory, he's not got a clear-cut future. Herol, the day after a triumphant night, and I think I've got you wrong side this morning, haven't I?
Yeah, only slightly.
What's the damage? You got a bit of a bang on the ear and
well,
on the eye?
it banged me on the ear, but it's nothing. It's just having a buzzing sensation, that's all. Nothing much.
Tough night, wasn't it?
It was a tough night, yes.
Right, now you're looking ahead to the future, and it's all a bit complicated. When you look at the permutations for this world title fight, do you get the feeling that maybe the prospect of a battle with Hagler is disappearing?
Slightly, yes. I still hope they can do it, but I don't think so, because I've heard rumours that Hagler's going to take on Sugar Ray for a multi-million-pound fight. So
Well, the contract is signed, more or less,
yeah,
isn't it?
so that's more or less dwindled away now.
But does that mean that you really can't do anything in terms of putting another fight together until the middle of December, when the decision is official and he's stripped of the title?
What they're thinking about doing, whilst they're negotiating on that, is that defending a European title against Pierre Frank Winterstein in Paris. If they do it before, negotiations before that, then it looks like a world champion shot with either Thomas Hearns or Iron Barkley.
Would you really relish putting a European title on the line first, because your eyes now are set firmly on that world title shot?
Definitely on the world championship. I'd rather go for the world championship than anything, really and truly.
Right, the 2 contenders. First of all, Iron Barkley, who is the #2 contender. What do you know about him?
I don't know a lot about him, but there was a stage where when I was in Las Vegas, I was going to box him. Of course, my opponent pulled out, or my original opponent pulled out, and it was a choice between Iron Barkley and Ernie Roboto, and they chose Ernie Roboto. And I know that is a tough opponent, a come-forward type and a slugger, so that would have been a great fight also.
Tougher than Thomas Hearns, who you also know very well indeed, don't you?
Yes, I do know. Yes, I've met him a couple of times. That is the fight which I really want, if anything, other than Hagler, because Thomas Hearns is a notable guy, he's a household name, and like to beat him would be like beating Hagler, really. You
watched Hearns, of course, at close quarters, because he was fighting on the same bill as you in Las Vegas against Mark Waddell, wasn't he? What did you make of him on that night?
I thought he could have stopped him early on. He didn't take out all the stops at all. But I thought he was coasting. He's a fantastic boxer, and like I'll have to be 110% fit to beat him also.
How important is it for you to get this world title shot in this country, and what are the prospects of that?
The prospects of having it in this country are very, well, it's like 50-50 really. If it's against Hearns, it might have to go to the States. Against Iron Barkley, they're talking about bringing him over here, probably London or Birmingham. But to have it in your own countries, it's a great boost to you, because you've got your own support, and if you're ever going low, running low, you've got all your supporters behind you to give you a lift. So I say it's 95% important that you do have it in your own country.
The earliest date that's been mentioned is what, January the 10th at Wembley. Is that too early to really be realistic?
No, it isn't at all. I mean, my order's now is to have a couple of days off and start training straight away, just in case anything does come off. So I'm looking forward to that World Championship. Absolutely. Even if it isn't against Hagler. I know Hagler is the tremendous ambition for you, isn't it? To get into the ring with him. Yeah, I mean, to beat Hagler is like to beat the man at the top. Without beating him, everybody's going to say, well, yeah, but you didn't beat the main man, which is Hagler. But all I do want, really, is that World Championship, and no matter who's got it, I got to beat. You took a giant stride towards it last night. Well done, Herol. Frank Bruno.
From the sun, and I